Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. This is an unscripted look at a 1999 Jeep Cherokee, currently on Bring a Trailer. I'll give you guys just a quick overview of everything on this vehicle that stands out to me. I'm not going to offer my strong, full opinion here, but I'll tell you what's interesting to me about this one. Now, I've only briefly looked at this auction. It's on Bring a Trailer right now with about 5 hours to go. So by the time this posts, it will have sold. We'll see what it sells for. I'll put that somewhere in the video here. So what initially stood out to me about this Cherokee, a couple of things. Number one, it's a 21,000 mile vehicle, and as of the time I'm recording this, it's about a 25-year-old Cherokee, so it's less than 1,000 miles a year. It's the SE, which is the base of the four trim levels offered in 1999. There was the SE, there was the Sport, which is the Volume 1, the Classic, which had a few styling upgrades like painted bumpers and painted fender flares, and then the Limited, which was the top version that came with leather seats. 99 was the third to last model year. The Cherokee was dropped in June of 2001. This is a good model year for a lot of reasons, as I'll discuss as we start to go through it here. So anyway, let's take a look here. First picture, first stuff right off the bat. Obviously, it's an SE. SEs have black painted bumper, the center part of the bumper here, black painted grille surround. They typically don't have a roof rack. They typically don't have the body side molding that the other versions have here. And they're usually very low option models. They're more often sold to fleets, which I suspect this one is based on a few things. For instance, I see these tow hooks here, which on a consumer model were typically part of the Upcountry package in the 1999 model year. Upcountry included a slightly higher riding suspension, different shocks, additional cooling, skid plates, but a lot of these features were available individually on the SE for fleet buyers. So we'll see what else is here other than these tow hooks. I do see that these have the correct bumper corners on them here. The bigger hole around the tow hook here was necessary to accommodate this. If it was not an actual Upcountry bumper or tow hook bumper corner, it would have had a much smaller hole. You can cut these out, but they're kind of difficult to do correctly. And this, from a quick glance here, looks right. This one doesn't have tinted windows, again, a typical SE thing. It does have these wheels on it, which are Grand Cherokee wheels from that slightly earlier, actually, from a 96 to 98 Grand Cherokee. It's a 15-inch wheel that Jeep called Canyon, if I remember correctly. All right, let's start reading here. Go through the BAT Essentials on the side here. So this is a popular seller. It's a dealership in Demorest, New Jersey. I'm not sure where that is. New Jersey obviously throws up some red flags as far as a vehicle, just given that it's part of the Mid-Atlantic Northeast. Rust is definitely a concern there. Not as bad as, say, Minnesota, but a lot worse than Arizona. But we'll read about this vehicle's history. 21,000 miles, 4-liter inline-six. That was actually the optional engine in 99. I don't think many were made with the 2.5-liter inline-4, but you do occasionally see them. 4-speed automatic. These are typical fleet options. Command track. This is the base four-wheel drive system part-time. Funny, they have dual range transfer case here below. It's the same thing. Stone white. That is the correct color for this. Again, a fleet popular color. It's a non-metallic, very basic white. Agate cloth, which again is a correct terminology there. We'll have a look at that. Fender arch extensions. I guess they're talking about the fender flares. Those are on all Cherokees by 99. 15-inch 5-spoke wheels. Again, as I mentioned, these are incorrect wheels. Power windows. Now that's interesting because that is not a feature that was available to the retail buyer on the SE. From what I remember in the 99 model year. I do have a brochure sitting here with me, so I'll verify this really quick here, but I don't believe that they were available. No, you couldn't get power windows on the 99 SE. They were standard on the Sport and higher. So that is definitely another one of those fleet-specific features. Air conditioning, I believe this was considered a no-cost option on these at the time. AM/FM stereo, I believe that was standard on these as well. Yes, it was. And it came with 2 speakers originally. And clean Carfax report. This dealer doesn't charge any additional charges. That's very nice of them. All right, let's start reading here. This 99 Cherokee SE is finished in stone white over agate cloth. This is pretty much a rehash of what was said before. Features include front disc brakes. Those are standard on all Cherokees at this point. One should have had rear drums. I'm sure it does. 15-inch 5-spoke wheels, power adjustable side mirrors, also a feature that was standard at this point. Again, I believe it was a no-cost option technically, but I don't think I've ever seen one without. Air conditioning, power windows, AM/FM stereo, front bucket seats. Couldn't get bench seats on a Cherokee. It's kind of funny. Clean Carfax report and clean New Jersey title. Now, this is a dealer, so they probably titled it in their name. I don't know how New Jersey works in particular, but so that doesn't necessarily mean that it's spent its whole life in New Jersey, but we'll take a look. Truck is finished in stone white, black grille, bumper covers, wheel arch flares. Additional equipment includes a rear window wiper, which is right there. 4x4 graphics, which is actually, these were actually a sticker on the 99s. I don't believe that they were a raised sticker like they were. Actually, no, I believe it was a raised sticker in 99. Power adjustable side mirrors. Just looking through the pictures here, everything looks good so far. I see a little bit of fading on the black surfaces, very typical on these. Very difficult to address that without repainting them, and even that doesn't really last all that long. I don't recommend a heat gun on those. That doesn't last at all. Really pretty background here in New York City. So this does appear to sit up fairly high. It's hard to tell from pictures, but it has that heavy-duty suspension or upcountry look to it. Again, hard to tell. And there would typically be some settling of the rear leaf springs on this. So they've either been replaced, or I doubt they haven't settled at least a little bit. It does have the rear tow hook back here, which was, if you didn't get the trailer tow package, but you did get tow hooks or upcountry, you got the tow hook. Pretty rare option on these. Only other thing I see from these pictures is the seat belts in the back here appear to be fairly faded, very typical for these vehicles. Those seat belts faded real fast, especially with the untinted windows. This section here says 215/75 Goodyear Wrangler SRA tires. I'm going to look, I believe that was the stock. Yeah, that was the stock tire size on an SE. Most models had a 225/75, although a 235/75 will also fit. SRA was that was an OEM style tire. I'm not sure it's a particularly good tire, but it's not bad either. Front discs, rear drums with ABS. We'll have to verify this does actually have ABS. That was an option on these. Pretty typical for a fleet vehicle, though, to have them. It came equipped from the factory with power steering. That was also standard on all of these at this point. Cabin features reclining bucket seats, rear bench turned in agate cloth. That is correct. The SE did come with vinyl, but the cloth is definitely what is presented here. They referred to this as Gilmore cloth at the time, and it's got a little bit of flecks of blue and like a magenta in it. Hard to see from these pictures, but so far not really seeing anything that stands out. Something a little bit here in the door jamb, but that might just be dirt. Hard to say. It does still have this little plastic cover over the hinge. Those sometimes go missing. Let's see, dashboard picture here, 100-mile-per-hour speedometer, 6K RPM tachometer, and all the gauges. That's all typical stuff. The SEs were available, or did come with a much more basic instrument cluster on the retail ones, which did not have a tachometer and had lights instead of the additional gauges here. So again, this is a fleet vehicle, and fleets, they could do a lot more individual picking and choosing, so I'm not doubting that at all. It has the urethane steering wheel instead of the leather wrapped, which is more typical. Sports and above always had the leather wrap. And it does not have cruise control. I believe cruise control and the leather wrap were grouped together on Cherokees. Pardon me. It does have the AM/FM radio, no cassette player there, a typical fleet thing. Everything so far is pointing to this being a fleet vehicle at one point in its life. Underhood here, not much detail other than oil changes performed in June 2024. 190 horsepower to 25 pound-feet of torque, which I believe is correct for that model year. Again, I will verify that with my brochure here, but yeah, that's correct. That did, prior years, there were slight changes to power. 99 was the last year for the distributor, which is, I can't really see over here. They went to a distributorless ignition system in 2000. Assuming I doubt somebody's changed that out. That does appear to be the ABS pump right over there, so this does have ABS on it. Not really seeing anything that stands out under the hood. A little bit of fading to these stickers. You can replace them, not a big deal. Often the bolts up here on the firewall will rust. These are not. That is a good sign. little bit of rustiness on some of the cooler lines here, or some of the power steering lines, um, and some of the brake lines. It looks like, again, not unusual. Let's see, underneath here, first thing that stands out is it did have tow hooks, but this does not have a skid plate below this is the fuel tank. It does not have a skid plate, which would have been included with the upcountry package. Fleet vehicles, you could get whatever you wanted, so it is a little strange. This is an odd combination, though, tow hooks but no skid plate, but they would do whatever. Bit of rust on the axle here. This is the Chrysler, I'm sorry, this is the Dana 35, or it should be with ABS. Dana 35 was on most of the 2001s, because I think they just stopped putting the 8 1/4 on them. But yeah, that appears to be what's here. It was also included with ABS. Let's see, there's the Carfax one as well. Click on that. Let's see, this will pop up here. One service record, 2 previous owners, government ownership, so that's fleet, not surprising. Last owned in New Jersey, 20,772 miles on the odometer. You can kind of skim through this with all the low miles. This is not surprising that there's not much here. All right, here's owner number 1, government, 24 years and 6 months in Florida. That's interesting. 24 years, so it was kept in Florida for the entire time, according to this. That is not many miles, 1,400 miles per year. That doesn't math right to me, but 25-year-old vehicle with 20,000 miles, but all right, maybe I'm just not good at math. Let's see here. It was in Fort Lauderdale, so South Florida. I don't know Florida as well as I do some other states, but there's really not a lot of hits here. Given it was a government vehicle, this is not surprising to have very little history. It was at a dealership at one point. Oh, this is interesting. October 16th, 2013. That was 11 years ago. It had 20,000 miles. So that explains why it said it was 1,400 miles a year. I guess maybe that works. It was at a dealership for a maintenance inspection at a Dodge Jeep Chrysler dealership in Delray Beach, which is also South Florida. No details there. If you're interested in this vehicle, you could probably call this dealership if it still exists and see if they have that record. I don't know. It's 11 years ago. Who knows? It looks like in March of this year, it was first registered in Mount Juliet, Tennessee. I'm not sure where that is. Given its mount, it's probably in eastern Tennessee, but not much happened. 200 more miles. Here it is in New Jersey, which I'm guessing this is probably, yeah, here we go. Dealer took title of this vehicle while it was in inventory. So this vehicle has really not been driven in 11 years. What happened between October of 2013 and December of 2023 is truly anyone's guess at this point. That's really quite strange. It might have been a fleet vehicle that was just parked and tucked away in a back corner and forgotten about. It might also have been bought by somebody who just didn't ever register it and decided to preserve it. Really, anything is possible here. All right, that goes away, and now let's take a look at the photo gallery. This is the lead photo they used here. Again, I see some fading in the front bumper corners, the fender flares, and the rear fender flares as well. Pretty typical for a vehicle that spent some time outside, especially knowing that this vehicle was in Florida. Not a surprise. I'll go through these relatively quickly because this dealership included a lot. Tow hooks are present. This one looks like it's maybe a little bit off kilter, the passenger side one. Just pushed a bit and a little bit scratched or faded or something there. Something slightly amiss, but you might have bumped something, or maybe it's been used at some point for some sort of extraction. Who knows what a fleet used it for. Everything looks pretty normal so far up front here. Jeep badge appears to be in the right spot. Sometimes these get put too high up on the header panel there. There's a little sticker in the window here. Don't know what that is. Headliner looks a little funky at the top here, but we'll wait for some interior pictures. Same deal on the passenger side here. That same fading. Does look like that tow hook's got a little scuff on it. Beautiful photos, beautiful background. Really lovely presentation here. Nothing really to note from the side. It's a very basic Cherokee, but it's nice looking. Definitely would have come with steel wheels originally. And I do think I see the Space Saver small spare tire in the back. Kind of unusual for a fleet. They often ordered them with full-size spares, but again, fleets could do what they wanted. Let's see, that same sticker's in the back window here for whatever that is. That might be something to do with this dealer. I'm not sure. Let's see if there's a close-up of it. Nothing really stand out here. Looks like a solid 21,000 mile vehicle from these pictures. This fading, or I don't know what you'd call it, the rock chipping away of the undercoating here is pretty typical on these. I don't think they were fully painted black originally. All that looks normal to me. A bit of fade going on in the trim on the windows here, all normal stuff, especially for a Florida vehicle. Again, a lot of sun. I do see the faded seat belts. Again, that's very typical on these. The stickers here, these are a child lock sticker telling you about that, from what I remember on these. Faded, very faded on that. I think they have reproductions of those. I'm not 100% sure. I see the Chrysler Safeguard branding in some of the windows. Can't quite tell if it's on all of them, but it's a good sign. Little scuff on the bottom of the door here. This all looks nice. I'll zip through these with a little more quickness so you don't have to watch hours of me looking through these pictures. Same deal on this side, nothing unusual. Maybe a little bit of fading to the 4x4 badge here. Maybe these were stickers in 99. Someone will have to check me on that. I don't exactly recall. It does appear they were. Must have been 2000 when they became a raised badge, more like the one on the cowl there, and on the doors. It's a good looking Cherokee from so far. Yeah, there's that fading on these, very typical. The headlights have some just debris or yellowing in them, probably because this thing is sat outside for some period. I mean, these are easy enough to replace. They don't look like they're the same headlight anyway. Maybe, hard to tell. But, well, this one's got water in it, so that one needs to go. You can replace them with H4s, much better headlight. Yeah, that one's a Wagner on that side. Looks like that one might be too hard to read, though. I'd replace them. Some rock chips on the front here, not unusual by any means. Yeah, I mean, maybe a little more than I would expect to see for 10,000 or 21,000 miles, but not that strange. Looks nice here. Looks like maybe a little bit of residual dirt under here. Again, for a vehicle that sat outside, not strange by any means. Paint actually looks pretty good. This white can get very chalky, but appears to have a decent shine on it. Yeah, I'm seeing some small chips and scuffs here and there. None of that is unusual. Definitely there's some rust right here on this, the cowl panel here. Looks like almost all these screws are rusty. You could pull those off. That one's going to be hard to remove. You're going to have to, wind up stripping it, but I would definitely clean those out. I probably would have done that if I was the dealer. These are cheap screws. Let's see. Everything looks nice from back here. Let's try to get to some of these interior photos. Yeah, this dealer had 255 photos. I'm going to zip through them a bit quicker. A lot of dirt under the panel here. That's really kind of nasty. I'm surprised they didn't clean that up better. It wouldn't probably be that hard. Taillight's got a little crack in it. I hear this 4-liter badge is rough. I would definitely replace that. That's probably original, so it suggests that the tailgate probably hasn't been painted. Saw a touch-up mark on that last one. This is interesting. It almost looks like the 4x4 badge has been painted. I have to look at another angle. Might just be the way the light is. Some streaking going on here. But a vehicle that sat outside in Florida where it rains a lot, not strange. Definitely not a pristine Cherokee, but by fleet standards, a really nice one. Some scuffs on the doors, you probably could get those out. Yeah, quite a few. I would guess that this dealer pretty much just cleaned this up. Definitely not as nice up close, but not a bad one by any means. Not seeing any obvious signs of damage or major damage at least, or repairs. This all looks pretty decent. What do we have here? Definitely some touch-up paint. At least somebody cared enough to put some touch-up on it. A lot of little scuffs, so a full paint correction would go a long way here. Lots of little scuffs. Here's the roof. Now these didn't have the roof rack. It was available, but this one didn't have it. That looks like some rust bubbling there. And it looks like some overspray on this black on the window seal. So this is definitely had some paint work. Probably a faded roof, not uncommon by any means, especially the white seems to peel. A little rust out here on the rain gutter. This must be the roof. Maybe there was a magnetic light or something attached to it at one point. Those are those 15-inch Canyon wheels. They're not correct for the vehicle. I don't even think they're the right back spacing. Hard to tell on these tires. They might be hard to see the date code there. That might be 13. So that's 2013 was when it exited fleet service, or at least when the mileage was last put on it. So these are probably brand new 11-year-old tires. I wouldn't drive on them, but they were probably, maybe the steel wheels that were on it were damaged, and I don't know. Anything could have happened. Wheels themselves aren't in great shape. These were probably used wheels that somebody slapped on here. It would go if this was my Cherokee. The white on the tires is pretty dirty, which is kind of a surprise given they don't have many miles on them, if any. The brake drum is rusty back here. Can put some paint on it if you wanted, or just resurface it. All right, here we are looking at some of the more detailed shots. Seat looks great. This looks like the original vinyl. This tears often, but with 20,000 miles, not surprising. It's still in good shape. Yeah, this all looks nice. Even the rubber trim looks good. Florida is humid, so it's not as big of a risk of it cracking. This looks like maybe it needs a little adhesive on this one here. These go missing on a lot of these. A little bit of rust in the, maybe, or dirt. Hard to say on the hinge. Not a major thing. I'm really nitpicking this one because it has 20,000 miles on it, and I'm sure it will sell for a high price. I'm going to back up because I think I missed. It looks like some carpet might be missing down here. Something probably spilled on it, some kind of an acid. Fleet vehicle, who knows how it was used. This all looks nice. Not seeing anything really alarming here. There may be a little bit of rust in the little way that the metal here is folded over, and it traps moisture, especially down here. Might be a little bit in there. It's hard to say. Power windows locks. This was the step-up door panel, I should say. The Limiteds had a pocket in here. They didn't do a very good job of cleaning this thing up, but actually that mirror looks kind of filthy in there. Might just be glass that's gone bad. This should say left and right, or L and R on this. That's all faded off. Kind of strange, but so far nothing that would stop me from placing a bid here by any means. And just knowing that it's been off the road for 11 years or so. If you're going to drive it, you're going to do some maintenance for sure, beyond the oil change that the dealer did. Seats look good. Look like 20,000 mile seats. Looking closely here, this one might be the same thing. Hard to say. That mirror might be cracked, or it's just a reflection of something. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see if there's a close-up of the passenger side mirror. I'm going to call that cracked. It's an easy fix. I'm surprised the dealer didn't do it, if that's actually the case. I'm back up here. This should say lock on it, and now it just says OC. This door actually looks good underneath. Hard to say. Maybe there's a better picture somewhere here. We're only about halfway through. Door panel looks good. A little bit of fading here. They've used something other than an interior cleaner. They should have used a dedicated interior cleaner for these door panels. I think this is the photo that was in the listing earlier. We'll have to see. The odometer here looks like some of the backlighting might have failed on it. Kind of hard to see, but it might just be a polarizing filter on the lens. The needles should be orange here, which again points to this having spent time outside. Those fade. We'll see up close, but I'm sure they just faded. With the faded, or with the repainted roof, and Florida, this has definitely spent time outside. Odometer looks fine here, so that was not a concern. This all looks nice. Yeah, just a typical late production Cherokee. They do look better with the leather steering wheel. I don't think that there are any new old stock steering wheels left, so you'd have to get it recovered or find a really nice used one, which is hard to find. It says the rear defogger, which I think by 99 was actually, I think that might have been a federal requirement in 99, but some of the early 97 was when they refreshed the Cherokee. Some of the early ones did not have this, 97 and 98. It's got the rear wiper. I think that also was standard on all these. Basic radio, like I said before, 5 radio presets. I guess it's 10 because you push each one twice. This might just be a two-speaker stereo, which was standard on these, just in the doors here. Sports and above had 2 additional speakers in the headliner. Let's see here. Cluster looks nice, 20,856 miles, so just under 21, as the auction said. Like I said, these needles should be orange, like a bright orange, and you'll definitely know when you've seen a Cherokee that's been outside. So should all of these letters or numbers that look yellow in letters. This was not a police vehicle, or else it would have had the certified speedometer, which would say certified here. Everything looks fine here. A lot of very close-ups. Airbag steering wheel. This is the correct wheel for these without cruise control. This all looks fine. We'll zip through some of these. Some little scuffs here, but I'm really nitpicking at this point. Have to remember this, for 10 years of its life, at least was used as a fleet vehicle. Something kind of gross in there. I would have cleaned that up a bit better, but not a hard thing to do. This 4H should also be orange. It's also faded a bit, but not unusual. I'm just looking here at the keys. We'll come to this later probably, but there are 2 remote fobs here that are not Jeep remotes. And a very old looking key fob or tag here. This power outlet thing should be pushed up there. This does not have the smoker's package, or at least it has the cover where the cigarette lighter would go. And this ashtray probably doesn't have the insert in it. Cup holders are not very useful in these. Get through a few more interior pictures here. That's kind of dirty, but I'm not going to judge the dealer too much on this. This dealer seems to sell some pretty high-end vehicles. All right, now we're at the back seat. That looks fine. Nothing really to note here. Seatbelts look fairly clean. They can get kind of dirty and just grody on these. The carpets are a little dirty back here. And just some probably overspray from a cleaner here. All right, the back door here, again, just some dirt. Really didn't do a great job of cleaning this one up. These are kind of hard to clean out of the side of the door panel here, this little textured striated surface. But as far as big deal stuff, these will often rust in some of the seam spots here, and I don't see anything. This looks nice. This is an easy thing to clean, just unscrews and you clean it right off. Looking at that bottom of that door panel, or door skin again, don't see anything there. Yeah, looks nice. I mean, definitely needs a good detail. Nothing alarming here. We'll see if they give us a picture underneath, or a video. Yeah, I'm sorry, a picture of the spare. Can't speak of the toolkit and the tire jack. I guess these don't really have a toolkit, but at least the tire jack is under the. So the SE's had a very basic headliner that just had this single light. I don't believe that there's a light in the cargo area, but we'll see. They didn't have the individual map lights that Sport and Hire had up here, so this all looks correct. Maybe it looks a little dirty, but hard to say. Not surprising, given fleet use. It keeps saying that. This door looks great underneath. Nothing to worry about there. I'm not seeing any signs of overspray either. Headliner looks good there. Some little chips maybe in the trim up here, or in the paint up here. Sun visors are a bit dirty. I don't know if the SE had mirrors. I guess we'll find out in a second here. Yeah, so this does not have 4 speakers. It just has 2. So it would have been an easy headliner to replace if you needed, but higher end models, and I believe it was an option on the SE for consumers. Yeah, it was, to get 4 speakers back here. So you'd have 2 in the back and 2 pointing forward. The Infinity system had 8 total speakers on it. Now they were counting, I believe it's the door speakers as a double speaker on the Infinity, but obviously not an issue here. Cargo area, pretty simple, not much going on here. It's clean, which is kind of a surprise. Some of the fleet vehicles can be really filthy in the cargo area, depending on how they were used. This is definitely the small spare. It's got the original cover on it, looks good. A got all four of the hooks. I believe those were standard on SEs as well. All this looks fine. Actually, it looks really nice back here. It's not even all scuffed up. They're often really scraped up around the latch there. I say that there's some scratches, but this isn't bad. All right, we're under the hood now. There's the distributor. So this is the last year for the distributor. This has obviously been thoroughly detailed here. It's very clean, very shiny. They were practically not this clean when they were new. Definitely some rust on some of the clamps here. Given this is a Florida vehicle, there's the rust is not unusual to see, just given the moisture in the air. And knowing that this is a Fort Lauderdale vehicle, it probably never spent much time far from the coast, but not a big deal. I don't see anything amiss here. Everything looks really nice. Super cleaned up, of course. It's got a Sandon air compressor, which I don't believe is original. I believe it should say Mopar on it. Not a surprise, 25-year-old vehicle, and in Florida it would use that year-round. It's got an interstate battery. Has the correct battery tie-down here. That's all. These will corrode really badly if the battery acid ever gets on them. Can't see the bottom of it here, but maybe we'll send another picture. But I think they usually corrode more at the top. Yeah, this all looks great under here. Looks like maybe a Fram air or oil filter there. The dealer said they just changed the oil. There's the ABS pump. The brake fluid looks dark, hard to see, but looks very dark in here. So this is what I was talking about before with the paint. The white paint is far more prone to this chipping. I don't know what it is that Chrysler did with white paint. White seems just to be more prone in general, though. Let's see. This all looks good. The federal stickers are under here. This was what we call a 49 state vehicle. Did not have the California or Northeast states emissions on it. Not a big change there, but they had an extra canister over here for the evaporative system. Those vehicles can sometimes have a few specific parts that, not a big deal though. All this looks fine. Not really seeing anything major here. As a 99, this does not have the bad head that the 2000 and 2001s got, and also some of the later TJ Wranglers. So 99's it's a really good model year. Distributor is just simple. The later ones had a coil pack here. It can be a little bit tricky to remove, but really not that tough. Yeah, there's the classic 4-liter. This sticker should have had a big barcode on it. It's all rubbed off, probably whenever they were detailing this. It was probably grimy and they just cleaned it. Unfortunate, but that happens. Let's see. It looks like somebody's maybe painted some a type of corrosive inhibitor on the battery clamps here. Under the hood, this all looks pretty typical. A little dirty for 20,000 miles, if I'm honest, but nothing about this vehicle really worries me otherwise, as far as the mileage. It just lived that fleet life. Could clean these up with a brush a little bit if you wanted to really detail the engine bay. Not something a lot of people are doing to XJ Cherokees. Some residual grime there. I'm sure they just sprayed a degreaser on it and then power washed it. Not a big deal. Typical. Let's see here. Yeah, there's that rust I mentioned on some of the brake lines, also on the ABS pump. All this looks normal. Got another 40 pictures or so to go here. Underneath, oh, this looks nice. You know, there's some, just the beginnings of the lightest surface rust, but this is all typical for Florida. So the front differential, obviously this is a four-wheel drive one, command track, the 231 transfer case. Definitely some rust on the bolts here, but you know, this is all very typical for a humid weather vehicle. Let's see, these are kind of blurry photos here. It's not just your screen. It's missing the front. Well, I guess it probably didn't have the front skid plate. I'll get to that in a second here, but typically tow hooks and skid plates were included together on these. But as I said before, the fleet vehicles, they could kind of pick and choose what they wanted. It was a little more of an a la carte system. This is the sway bar end link, which these are very easy to replace. Hard to see if this one's all dry rotted. I'm guessing it is. It looks like it's smaller up here and bigger at the top, which is not a good sign. Very easy to replace though. 20 bucks worth of parts for both of them. 25 bucks. Everything looks really good here. It does have, I may have mentioned this a second ago, it does still have the this little cover for under the engine. It's just a splash shield. Those tend to go missing, and this has the correct attachment for it. That looks really good. This guy looks new over here, newer on the steering arm here. Not a big deal. Oh yeah, this bushing is. You can see the gap there. It shouldn't be a gap. Again, these are really easy to replace, especially given that's just a light surface rust. This will zip right off. But I can guarantee if you drive this, you can hear these sway bar bushings going creak, creak. Saw some grease buildup in a few spots there. That looks like this is the front shock. This looks original, probably. It's been a while. I can't identify the heavy duty shock versus the regular shocks anymore, and the sticker's gone. Hard to say though, but it's old for sure. I would consider replacing these. They're held on with 2 bolts, not a difficult job. Spring's a bit rusty. Spring perch here is a bit dry rotted. Not a big fix. Got to remove a spring, but not that big of a deal. Yeah, you can see this sway bar bushing is end link bushing is toast. Yeah, just that little bit of rust here and there. Nothing major. You could easily coat this one. This thing's got a lot of life left in it. This is factory undercoating. They just applied a little bit under there. I think it's more of a sound deadener than anything else. Not a lot though, I can tell you. XJs are not especially quiet inside. Rear leaf spring, it's very hard to tell from this angle. A little bit rusty. I'm sure it's original, given the mileage and given the use. Let's see, got a little bit of rust on the exhaust here. All humid climate stuff. There's that rear differential. This one has a rear sway bar, so it definitely does not have the upcountry package on it. That's the end link right there. Upcountry deleted that. And I believe the Fleet heavy duty suspension also deleted it. So this is really an unusual combination of items either way. This is a little panel. I think you can still buy these that covers, this is the fuel filler up here. It's hard to tell. This is the inside of the rear fender, and this is the driver's side. So the fuel filler's over here. And I thought that was rust, but I think it's just dirt the more I look at it here. Definitely some rust on the leaf spring. Again, nothing to be remotely concerned about here. Drive shaft is pretty rusty, but again, nothing to really be worried about. There's that transfer case. This is just the standard cross member. I don't believe this is the actual skid plate. So this did not have, either they're missing or it did not have the skid plates on it originally. I could pull a build sheet on this if I wanted to. I'm not going to waste everybody's time by doing that, but I'm guessing just by looking at it that this did not have the skid plate package on it. So it just had tow hooks. But that does appear to be a 231 transfer case. See if there's a close-up of that. This all looks great. Little tiny bit of rust coming in at these seams. I probably would find a way to touch that up just to prevent it, especially if you're going to drive this in a damp climate. This is not the correct bolt, I don't think. I believe this should go the opposite way. And I think these are threaded, so something may have happened here. Let's see if there's a picture of the other side. With that cross member, I think they should both be like this with the bolt head rather than the nut. But I might be wrong there. Yeah, this just looks like a fairly low mile, 25-year-old vehicle. Definitely not pristine by any means. Here's that wheel well. This one seems to have a little bit more of the under spray missing, but I'm not. I may have just applied less at the factory to that wheel. Back of the exhaust, there's that rear tow hook I mentioned before. Pretty rare item on these because most of them with upcountry were more often than not ordered with the trailer hitch on the back, and this one does not have that. And I don't see any wiring sticking out or anything like that, but a Fleet may have just not needed to tow anything. XJs aren't really great tow vehicles anyway. This clamp for the exhaust appears to be original, and that's going to be a pain to remove at some point, but not a big deal. That's just a plastic fuel tank, no skid plate there. If you're going to go off-road, you're definitely going to want to put a skid plate on because one rock will leave you with a lot of gas leaking out. Back of the drum brakes is pretty rusty. Yeah, but that's all typical for the humid climate. There's that Dana 35. Really easy to service axle, not the most robust, but fine for a stock vehicle. I believe the limited slip ones had a tag over here. I know they had a tag in the glove box, so this is probably an open. It looks like that's the date stamp. Maybe that's July of 1997. No, that's not a date stamp. Maybe these don't have a date stamp on them. So ignore that comment. Here's the VIN on the dashboard. Here's the build date. Let's see what we can determine here. This is an April of 1999 vehicle. It was built on April 15th, the 14th hour, whatever the 14th hour of production was. I don't know if that means 2 p.m. Never figured that one out. Not a lot to say here. That PW1, I know by heart that is the white stone white paint code. And M5AZ is the interior code, which I believe is agate. This appears to be all correct on this. No real reason to believe otherwise. That all looks nice. Comes with the owner's manual. That's all correct. Some codes, not sure what those are. That's all looks nice. It's nice to have. Amazing that a fleet kept it. All right, here's what I mentioned before. So this definitely has, somebody's added a Viper alarm system to this, or at least is giving you the fobs for it. That's kind of unusual. That little QR code appears to be the sticker that was on the windows. So that might have been a fleet tracking system. I don't know, did they have QR codes in 2013? I guess they did. This is a very old keychain that references 20,850 miles. It's very beat up, but I think that's actually slightly above what it has right now, but they might have just rounded. Who knows what that's from? That's an original Jeep key, not a Century key, just the basic one. I believe 99 was the last year for this shape key before they went to the oval one in 2000. Now that I say that, that might be wrong, but it might have been a running change too. This is an aftermarket key, the second key, not a big deal. Yeah, you can see it says, I believe they say access on them. It's a Daimler Chrysler cover for the owner's manual. That's correct. And here's your 49 state, as we call it, standardization sticker, saying that it complies with the emission standards for the federal government, but not for California. Tells you the spark plug gap too, and the spark plug types. So I don't know that they put that on a current one. This is over here is a map of the vacuum system. Not an easy thing for an average person to read. All right, here's that air compressor. I'm not seeing a date on it, but I would not be surprised if that's been replaced. In fact, that's a good thing if it has. 25-year-old compressor would not be great. And we're back to the beginning. All right, let's close this up. Since I started this video, which I've had to pause a couple of times just as life has gotten in the way, it's gone, I believe it was at 85 or 9,500. Now it's at 10,500 with a little under 4 hours to go. I will post the final sale price here, but this definitely has some room to go. I would not be surprised if it goes for double that. All right, well, thanks for watching. I hope that you found this to be an informative video. I hope you learned a few things. If you caught any mistakes I made, please don't hesitate to reach out in the comments. And as with any video, please like, share, subscribe. We need all of that. Thank you.